Well, we finally made it to the end of the week, and it's been a busy week. We've had a whole lot of rain, some warm weather, some cold weather now. We are waking up to the 20s on this Valentine's Day, and I have good news for all you lovebirds. If you have any plans this afternoon or evening, things are looking a-okay. It is cold this morning. We have a lot of frost out there, temperatures in the 20s, and believe it or not, this is the first time that we've officially hit the freezing mark here in Chattanooga this month, and the first time since January 29th, so it's been a while. As for your highs, generally going to be in the 50s. So what's going to happen today is we're going to have some ridging built in to our east, and that's going to allow for southerly flow to return. That's going to warm us up into the 50s. So it's going to turn out to be a nice day with some sunshine. Here's a look at your satellite radar. Kind of zoom out. Not a whole lot going on. Our next system somewhere out here in the west, that's going to drop down into the plains and eventually fire off a new surface low and bring a cold front into the Tennessee Valley. So that's going to give us some rain potential later on this weekend and the threat for some severe weather. Flood watches now in effect, are going into effect tomorrow through Sunday for Marion, Grundy, Sequatchie, Bledsoe, Van Buren counties and most of Middle Tennessee. You can see those flood watches all the way up through West Virginia and those green shades. A lot of river flood warnings, those light green boxes you're seeing. And again, those flood watches go all the way from Pennsylvania down to Arkansas. So a lot of heavy rain coming once again. It looks like the axis of heaviest rain may be just to our northwest this time. But again, any additional rain could cause some flooding concerns here across the Tennessee Valley. So let's take a look at your storm tracker. Rest of your day looking good. Again, no issues for Friday. Maybe a sprinkle or two this evening. But all in all, it's going to be a pretty nice day. And then overnight, cloud cover thickens up even more. Could have a few showers after about 3, 4 a.m. And then continuing into Saturday morning, more rain comes here and there, and I think throughout the day just going to be some occasional showers. But my main concern is going to be this main line. We've had this set up, hundreds of times. This time of the year, when you get cold air and warm air colliding, you get a low pressure that forms. You've got a warm front attached to that low pressure and a cold front on the southern end, and that's what we're going to have is that cold front bringing us the threat for some severe weather. It looks like by midnight this moves in and will continue over the next little bit. So let's see if I can put this all the way into the future. So notice by about 1 a.m. that leading line of storms moves through, and along that leading line, that's where you're going to have that potential for severe weather. Again, anytime you have these structures, you can have damaging wind gusts. You can also have notches within the line where you have a little bit of rotation, and that's where we could get the spin-up tornado threat. Not going to be very high this time, but it is something worth noting. Very fast-moving system, so by about 3, 4 o'clock, the severe threat is over even for our eastern community. So you're going to get like an hour of severe potential, and that's going to be right as this line is moving overhead. I don't really think we're going to have anything ahead of it, and it doesn't look like anything after it is going to be severe worthy because colder air starts to stabilize the atmosphere and things are going to calm down pretty quickly. In fact, by Sunday morning, we're still going to have a couple showers, and the severe threat going to be all but done. So that's certainly good news. It's a quick moving system, but before you go to bed on Saturday, if you're not going to stay up, have a way to receive those alerts. A weather radio, your phone. That way, if a warning's issued for you, you can pop up and take the proper precautions. But level 2 out of 5 risk for Chattanooga, Dunlap, Dalton, and across North Alabama. And as we zoom out a little bit, you can see that severe threat along that front. Going to be highest in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, even West Tennessee. So for us, yeah, we're still going to have the risk. It's worth watching, no doubt, but it's not going to be as high as places like Mississippi, Alabama. But we do have low in tornado threat. That green shade, which includes most of our coverage area except for our easternmost communities, 2% chance. This is within a 25-mile radius. The highest potential going to be across the delta of Mississippi, southeast Arkansas, and Louisiana. So yeah, Dixie Alley going to have a better chance of any tornadoes, but we still have a low-end chance, and we need to pay attention to it. Here's a look at your futurecast rainfall. Generally going to be around an inch, I think. Some areas could pick up more than that, but here's the thing. We've had so much rain over the last couple days, the ground's saturated. So even a little bit of rain can cause some issues. And when you get heavy rain like this, it's all going to come within, a couple hours. So an inch of rain over a 24-hour period, not necessarily a big deal. An inch of rain within an hour or two, bigger deal. That's where we could have some of those flooding concerns. Flooding threat going to be pretty high here across the local 3 coverage area, highest across parts of Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, and West Tennessee. We still have that slight risk for some flash flooding. So with this system, my main concerns, again, between about midnight and 4 a.m. early Sunday morning, flooding, medium concern, high winds a medium concern, gust up to 50 to 60 miles per hour, and the ground's saturated, so any wind gust, even ahead of this system, up to 35 miles per hour, could cause some weaker trees to go down with the weak root systems, which could lead to some power outages. So that's something else we'll have to consider. But again, once that main line moves through, you're going to be looking a lot better. But still, I wouldn't be overly anxious about this. Just be prepared and have a way to receive those alerts. Now, after all the severe threat moves through, it turns colder. In fact, through the end of the month, we're trending a little bit below normal. Now, our averages start to go up. By the end of February, our average high in Chattanooga is 59. So below normal could be 50, 55 degrees. But nonetheless, we're looking at colder air and maybe the potential for some winter weather. So here's the setup in the upper levels over the next couple of days. We're going to have a strong upper level low pressure and some troughing developing just off to the east of the Rockies. So surface low is going to form. That's going to bring the cold front into our area and give us the chance for some severe weather as this system moves up into the central part of the country. Now, there's still going to be good ingredients, or really good ingredients, to our south, but for us it's a little tricky because how far does that instability move north? I think it's going to weaken a little bit, but we're still going to have a ton of wind shear, so that's going to give us that wind threat. And then moving into Wednesday and Thursday of next week, that's the next time period I'm watching, because we're going to have another surface low develop. We're going to have cold air already in place with some general troughing. Where does this track? Where does this surface low develop, and where does it track? Because if it tracks to our south, we'll have that potential for some winter weather. Again, temperatures are going to be favorable for winter weather. It's going to be more of a marginal event, but usually when temperatures are closer to 32 opposed to the 20s, we have more moisture to work with, which means we could actually pick up a little bit of winter weather. We'll have a blocking pattern to our north, so that'll keep that cold air kind of funneled into the southeast. So I'm going to watch this one pretty closely, and then through the end of the month, we're going to have some ridging out west and some troughing in the east, which should keep us a little bit cooler than normal. So we'll watch that trend pretty closely. But this is the latest European. Again, going into Wednesday morning, a little bit of rain, snow mix. Temperature's still going to be pretty warm, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. But what happens is you have a deepening low pressure, which could bring a period of some snow Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. At least that's what the European is picking up on. Now, keep in mind, this is a model, and this isn't exactly what's going to happen. It just gives us an idea. Again, there's a saying, all models are wrong, but some are useful. So we use these as tools to kind of come up with our idea of what the forecast may be like. We can also look at past weather events, but it does look like the cold air is going to be in place. There is going to be a low pressure forming somewhere near the Gulf, so it's going to be favorable for winter weather. Now, accumulations, I'm not willing to put any out, or even if we're going to have any, it's still a little unclear. It's still a little too early in the game, but definitely watching this closely, because here's the European and the latest, solid 1 to 3 inches on average, with even higher amounts across the mid-Atlantic and western North Carolina, which would be a pretty decent little snow event. But then you have the GFS, a little bit, I guess you would call it bearish on snow totals, upwards of 1 inch or 2 north of Chattanooga, with pretty much nothing across North Georgia. So this would have a further north track. The further south track is going to give us a better chance of snow. So there's still a lot of things that we need to look at, a lot of resolving of the forecast that we need to do this weekend. But it's definitely worth noting, and I think there's certainly going to be the opportunity there. But again, right now the models are not in great agreement, but I like the pattern moving forward. Just aside from the models, we have this cold air mass moving in behind this severe weather on Sunday and kind of just lingering. And then we're going to have a couple more waves of colder air trying to push in. Active pattern, active southerly jet stream. And similar to the last time we got snow, yeah, it's not going to be quite as cold, but it's still very favorable pattern-wise. So we'll watch this pretty closely moving forward. Here's a look at the ensemble approach, which I like to use. The European through that period, which is all the way through Thursday, gives really areas from Chattanooga northbound about a 30 to 50% chance of accumulating snow, 1 inch or more, with higher amounts the further north you go, and about a 10 to 20% chance for our southernmost communities across North Georgia. So there's probably going to be a pretty tight cutoff if this storm develops the way we're thinking. Yesterday, the GFS had pretty much no potential, but north of the Tennessee state line, about a 10 to 30% chance of 1 inch or more of snow. So somewhere across the southeast or mid-Atlantic, more than likely going to get a winter storm at some point next week. Likely going to be some point Wednesday or Thursday. So again, right now we're just watching those trends. Is it going to trend up or is it going to trend down? This weekend we'll get a much better handle on things, but I'd keep an eye on it. I'd definitely keep an eye on it moving forward because there's certainly going to be that chance for some winter weather. But first I want to get through the severe weather, and then we can focus more on that winter potential next week. So if you thought winter was over, shame on you, because winter doesn't officially end until March 20th. Kidding, obviously, but still, we have a ways to go, and we've gotten our biggest snow in Chattanooga, of course, with the March blizzard in 93 of 20 inches. And March is usually a pretty active month. Then we get those cold air masses coming through. We can get severe weather, we can get winter weather, we can get warm weather, we can get cold weather. Everything kind of on the table over the next couple of months before we move into spring for good. But again, be weather aware late Saturday and Sunday. Much colder next week, and then we're watching the potential for some winter weather by the middle of next week. So, I'll come in if I need to this weekend for severe weather. Of course, Chief Meteorologist David Carnes will be on deck as well, and the rest of our weather team, Audrey and Hannah, all great members of the Local 3 alert team. So have a good weekend. Happy Valentine's Day, and we'll see you soon.